where I wasn't able to kind of make decisions and stand by them. I had a really deep sense of sort of imposter syndrome. My confidence sort of plummeted. I was kind of questioning myself, things that I was doing.
Because the moment I was like, no, I'm not going on payroll, I need to invoice. They were like, oh, and let's add, I had my child at 16. So I was more like, no, I can't do that. They're like, child, why is everything wrong with you? You're holding a baby and holding an invoice.
And I spent the money on the offices, and we were getting it all kitted out, and we had a launch and everything. And literally within 4 weeks, the turnover plummeted. And I kept thinking next month it'll be better, and started ploughing in money to keep the business going, to keep the staff on.
I didn't really have that much money. I had my savings, but I don't come from a family of privilege. I come from a working class family. So I had all of these kind of barriers that at the time I didn't realise were barriers. I just got on with it and just moved. I moved without thinking. I had an idea.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of She's the Boss Female Entrepreneur Stories, where as usual I am joined by the cream of the crop of female entrepreneurs from the UK and beyond. If this is the first time you're here, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out when I release a new interview. And if you're not already following me on social media, what are you waiting for? Head on over to Instagram and follow at She's the Boss UK. I'm on LinkedIn, Daniela Genus, and I'm also on Twitter at She's the Boss INTL. And I'm on Facebook, Daniela Genus, She's the Boss. So get connecting. Today, I'm really excited. And I always say this every week, I'm really excited. But this week, I'm particularly excited because this interview is so overdue. I am joined by Yinka Ewuola, who is the founder of Calla Success Systems. Yinka, thank you for joining me.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I feel like I stumbled on your name. Do you want to just reintroduce yourself and do it in a much more graceful way than I did it?
Oh, no, not at all. It was awesome. So Yinka Ewuola. And as you said, I'm founder of Calla Success Systems, which is passionately working to support women in business to build thriving and profitable businesses while living full, fab, and nourishing lives.
And I love that. I love that whole elevator pitch. You rolled that off fantastically. So tell us more about your inspiration for starting the business. When did you start the business, and kind of what has been the journey from that point till now?
Okay. So Calla has been around for a long time. I got the name ages ago. Calla lilies are my favorite flower, because they are so beautiful and so inspiring and not at all what people think they are. And I love, a few things happened in my career. So I started in banking, and day one of orientation of the full-time role, the guy, it's always the guy, but the guy said, "Oh, welcome to the bank, where you never get to know your children, but you get to know your grandchildren." And I was like, okay, time. I literally mentally started the clock clicking, because I was like, I'm not gonna be here for that. That's ridiculous. But then another key kind of move into business was when my mum was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2007. It was a bit of a crazy year for us. My mother-in-law passed away. We got married. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer, and we found out we were pregnant all within the space of a few months. It was a hair-raising time, but I was in banking at the time, and I realized that I was watching her leaving her chemotherapy and treatment to go out to service clients, because she was also running a business, and that can't run. I don't care how much business time, whatever, I only get one mum, and I watching that situation, but then watching how when the men in our lives, other women, that when women want to start businesses, society doesn't stop and rally around them in the same way that women rally around to support others. Mm-hmm. And so I stepped out of banking. I had my baby. I began to support her and really help her run her business, and spent a lot of time and a lot of money learning how to build businesses, build myself, build marketing, sales, systems, all of those things. So I became great at what I did, at what I do, and the business really thrived. But I kept seeing the same patterns. We would be in these conferences, thousands of pounds all over the world, and the men, break time would come, and the men would go off and eat croissants and network, and the women would all go to the toilet and start calling home and checking on homework and checking on granny's medication and what have you eaten today, and so even though we were in the same environment, we definitely were not having the same experience, and the mental runway that women are given so much shorter. We can be learning the same things, but at the back of our mind, we're wondering, has so and so taken their vitamins? Is what's going on at school? We are social glue, and so the world literally does revolve around the work and the silent and the hidden blood, sweat and tears of women. And so I wanted to create a situation where women could be fully supported to be their best selves, to run their businesses rather than have their business run them ragged, and to really support using systems and leverage to give them every advantage that they would need to thrive in both business and life.
I don't want to assume, was your mom okay?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I always tell that story so badly. My mom is so okay. She's amazing. First of all, she celebrated 10 years free of cancer by climbing Mount Kilimanjaro.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she's beyond okay. And more importantly, she's Benjamin Buttoning. Like, she looks younger now than she ever has. She's glowing and she's beautiful and she's smart and her business is rocking. And yeah, so my mom is so well. But the point, and I'm so glad that she's well, but her being part of my inspiration was because, as a Nigerian mum, as a mum in many families, she underpinned so many things for all of us. And yet, when the time came for her to need to really focus on her health, she hadn't at the time structured the business in the way to be able to do that. And so for me, I'll be damned if I let that happen to another woman on my watch where possible. But B, is actually there's never been a better time to be alive, to run a business, to be a woman and run a business is, it's a superpower. So the opportunity to kind of leverage things like the internet, leverage systems, leverage our understanding of sales and marketing and our networks, the way that we use relationships. Being a woman in business is incredible, and it's so important that we use that to do business like women. That's another thing, not to adapt it to how the guys do it. They should do business like them. We should bring our solutions, our vision for the world, and do business like us.
I love that. Just as a joke point, I've literally just finished watching Benjamin Button because I'm taking downtime at the moment. So I was typing away, watching Benjamin Button literally 5 minutes before this interview.
My God.
Yeah, I agree with
my mom. My mom looks younger now than ever. You would never. And again, her business, and I still, I'm co-direct there, and I still help and work with her there, is focused on food and nutrition. And so, a lot of how well she is and how she's been able to bounce back is around food and nutrition. It's part of the reason why we have to build businesses holistically. We spend all our time cheering and lauding, how amazing Steve Jobs was. He was amazing. He's also dead because he did not take care of his health.
Wait, no, the timing of how you just said that, sorry, that was so inappropriate to laugh, but that was really funny.
And I didn't mean for it to, and I have nothing against Steve. Obviously, he is an amazing business guy, and not a very nice human, I've heard, but that's another story. But the point as well is that we spend all of our health seeking wealth and then spend all of our wealth seeking health. It makes no sense. It's better that we do it holistically to start with, that we align success in terms of our true value. So for example, if your family is important, why are you going to build £1 million business only to miss everything that was important for your family on the way there, so that when you've got your millions, you'll turn around and they don't want anything to do with you?
This is so true. It's so true. I've had this conversation with a few men in my life, not my man, thankfully, but other people's men who have said the same thing. Like, I'm trying to turn over $1 million. I'm trying to get to the million. And I know for a fact that their wives and their kids are missing them and they say, well, I'm doing it for them. In fact, I had this conversation about 2 days ago, and I'm saying you're not doing it for them because they want your time. They don't want your money. You got enough money at the point that you're at. And I think, yeah, it's so true. There needs to be so much more of a focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing I would say is that they are doing it for themselves, and that's absolutely valid. You know, one thing that I'm very, very specific about, particularly, I'm a mum. I'm a boy's mama, so all my children are boys, and it's really important to me that they see what it means for a woman to be in a family, to be a wife, to be a mum, but to be hella fulfilled. I am not giving. It is incumbent upon me to live my fullest dreams, so that my sons can see what that is like and what that's about. So one of the things that and principles that my husband and I bring into our family is you have every right to pursue your dreams, that you are a member of our family as an individual. And if you are the only person who is the beneficiary of that action, that is totally valid, so long as all of the family knows and all of the family agrees. Don't come pretending like it's for all of us when it's just for you, because it can just be for you if you're honest and legit about it. Don't front and make it seem like it's for all of us when it's just for you, because then that's just dishonest and disrespectful. But outside of that, you know what? Live your dream, live your best life. If there's nowhere else that you should have that opportunity more than within the confines of the people who love you most. So I think that's really important, that we understand that. And particularly for women, and the idea of self-care, for example, they're like, oh, I can't invest. I spend a lot of time having that conversation with women about investing in themselves, and it being valid that you're the only beneficiary of your self-care. You're really not, because you being at your best is best for everyone around you. But I'm like, even if you were the only person to benefit from that massage, that bubble bath, whatever it is, that is valid. That's valid too.
I think with some of the people I've been speaking to, men specifically, where it's become a challenge is when it's forsaking family time and children time 100%. To pursue finance in the name of those same children that they're not spending time with. And I think that's what is difficult. And for me, as a woman in business, there is a fine line for me as well, because I have my thing is think big, take action, keep pushing. Thinking big requires a lot of my time. Taking action requires a lot of my time, but I also have a 5-year-old who needs my time. So I think sometimes it's important, as you said, to have that self-care time to also pursue your ambitions. But if you have taken the step of starting a family, particularly if it's something that you've chosen to do, then you also need to choose to take some time.
Everybody chose it. Even if it came, unless you genuinely didn't choose it, that's a different story. But I think ultimately, yeah, your children didn't choose to be here. The point is that also, though, that, children spell, I've heard it said that children spell love, time. They don't care about your cash unless they are once basic needs are met, and obviously basic needs may well, they might think it's Wi-Fi, but, we know. We know better, Sky Plus, but no, in all seriousness, the time that you spend getting, you reaffirming their character, their efforts, you demonstrating that your love genuinely is unconditional, is the most valuable thing you can give your children in their upbringing, irrespective of what trainers they wear or what holidays they go on. So.
No, it's true. So you work with your mom as well. Tell us about how did that come about, and how do you manage this? Because I had my mum on my board for my first business. It didn't quite work out. So we balanced it.
I mean, what I would say is working with family is not for the faint-hearted, and the need to be very clear about what goes where is always important. So I split my time, I split my tasks. I have eclectic working hours just to make sure that, I can fit everything in. But yeah, I still work with her. I still support the business, still support around, business development there. And one of the things that I try to do is to support her around the idea of possibility. She is an incredible professional, and she is an amazing businesswoman, and she has so much knowledge, and she sits on the London Food Board. So she's someone who, you know, is recognized in, you know, upper echelons of wherever, you know, she's constantly over in Parliament doing things over there. But again, she has this hustle. We have to hustle. We have to work hard. We have to put our hands on everything. And I'm like, no, actually, you're allowed to leverage. You're allowed to use the system. You're allowed to think of something and record a video and sell that video and collect that money ad infinitum. And so just helping her to really get to grips with what leverage is possible is really, you know, one of the things that kind of really takes my focus there, because I, you know, I don't think she'll ever retire. I don't know what she would do if she tried. She's not good at not being busy. But also, you know, she's got so much to offer. I think it would be a bit of a crime to let that knowledge and that passion, and, you know, she climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, so, you know, she's definitely still vital, vibrant, ready to roll. And so, but the great thing there is, you know, because she's being given the opportunity to kind of continue to contribute and come up with new ideas and help, you know, looking at, you know, food and nutrition and children, all of that stuff, it gives her, you know, real focus, and it keeps her sharp, and it keeps her really excited about the future. And then that, on my side, and kind of looking at my business, really gives me the opportunity to continue to look at and test that and push ideas around kind of systems and leverage and, you know, little tools and tactics that kind of really work well for her business. So I'd say it's a juggle, but it's also just a matter of choosing. And it's definitely, I'm a really big believer in choices. I think that, you know, the question of, you know, does money make you happy, or can you have it all? These kind of big questions. I'm like, you can have whatever you want. You can do whatever you like. You just need to be willing to pay the price for whatever it is that you want. And so, does money buy happiness? I'm like, I've never been to the shop and paid money and bought a jar of happiness. But then I don't believe that happiness is out there. Happiness is, you know, I can choose to be happy at any point. You know, I've been some of the happiest moments, you know, even in the midst of 2020, I've, you know, had such happy time. Like I'm making my choices, and that's part of one of the real superpowers that we have, is to really embrace the fact that we have choice and we can make the most of that.
I feel like you've been sitting in my house because you keep quoting things that were happening today. I had a conversation with my husband today about what's been my happiest moment of 2020, and one of them was being downstairs on my own with my headphones in, watching the Bounty Killer versus Beanie Man versus, and dancing around the living room whilst he was in bed.
True. Jill Scott and Erykah Badu.
That's true.
Oh my life.
Yeah.
You know what? That was such a roller coaster of emotions. It was so beautiful. And you know what it was that was so, the reason why I felt so strongly about it is because the guys came and they battled, and the women came and they loved, and they just took it to a whole new level. And that's what I keep saying about the way women do stuff. That like, so often we're made to believe that the paradigm of the world that we live in is disadvantage, and it isn't. We have less time to do stuff. That's great. The 80-20 rule says that 80% of your time is wasted anyway. So the fact is that we are way more efficient. We get way more stuff done. We are, you know, pound for pound. Like, if we stop thinking about what we have or don't have as disadvantage and start looking for what it is, you only ever need two things anyway: resources and resourcefulness. Where men may well take up more of the lion's share of resources, we know full well we have the advantage on the resourcefulness front, and it's resourcefulness you want anyway, because that's limitless.
I love it. It's so true, though. It's so true. My husband's always saying, "Oh, women can multitask and men can't." And I always say to him, "I don't know why you would even say that. What you should be saying is, how can I learn to multitask?"
I wonder. Like, number one, multitasking is not something you want to do. Your brain doesn't actually multitask, and it's a real big time waster. But more importantly, he's right in terms of the way that our brain center and theirs is different. I've spent a lot of time looking at the difference between men and women's brains, because I'm so passionate about demonstrating and, you know, coming out full force about the advantage of women being women, doing things as women. And so, yeah, our brains do center differently, and our ability to connect the dots and to consider lots of different factors is totally different and far superior to theirs. But the thing there is that, you know, the point is, you know, as I said, the multitasking bit, it isn't optimal. So it's not that we're doing it because we want to do it. We're doing it because we have been given all of these shoulds. You know, society brings their shoulds. You know, mummy life brings its should. Mother-in-law may well, if you have one, I don't, so I don't make mother-in-law jokes, but mother-in-law may well bring a should. You know, should. He's there everywhere.
And right now I'm a great disappointment because I haven't run forth the twins that she's playing for. So
oh dear,
I can make those jokes.
I mean, all I will say is that no matter what, you may well still. I have 3 sons, and yet where's the girl? So yes, therein lies the challenge of other people's shoulds. They're always going to have shoulds. So you know, and even we put shoulds on ourselves that potentially don't need to be there either. Yeah, so other people can keep their shoulds, and I will stay with my wills. This is what I will do. Everybody can keep their shoulds.
I love it. So you said before that you started in banking.
Yeah.
Tell me, like, where did that come from? Were you interested in maths and numbers as a child?
So I would say, first of all, I am a confirmed 100% weirdo for life. I am such a geek. I am such a weirdo. I love it. I wear it. My poor family, I love them there, but I know, I don't know, I'm an introverted Nigerian, which in and of itself is pretty rare. Like, we are culturally extroverted. But also I'm someone who I'm a daddy's girl, so I love and really focus on. My dad has a very strong work ethic, culture of excellence. I was that kid, you know, I got 98%, and he was like, what happened to the other 2%? That muck stuff up for your life later on, but we'll talk about that another time. But I was always straight down the middle. So doctor, as a Nigerian kid, you know, doctor, lawyer, or disgrace to your family, they were your options for your career path. My older sister is a doctor, and I'm forever grateful that she took some of that pressure off. I did look at law, and actually, you know, I did work experience. So they were like, come, please, you'd be amazing. You know, communication is one of the most important skills in the world. Probably, I would put it in the top 3. Don't ask me the other 2. I'll have to think about that. But what I would say is, yeah, when I discovered that the law wasn't about truth, that it was about proof, I was like, I'm not really about that life. So I found that I was actually really good at both sciences and arts. So I went to do a degree that would cover them both. That was economics. Graduated top of the class, yay! And then yeah, went to, like, what is the best possibility at this time to go into a career to learn about how money works, because I was like, I don't really mind what I'm going to be. I just know I'm not going to be poor, because we've seen that, we've done that, we ain't doing that. And I was like, yeah, learning about banking, investment banking, because that's how money works. That's the way you learn. And I was so fortunate to have some of the best and worst experiences in those buildings, but they were the making of me. I wouldn't change any of them, not even the awful ones. So yeah, it was a really incredible time of learning, of growth, of adulting. It adulted the hell out of me. And yeah, I look back now, and I'm grateful for every last bit of it, including all the tears I cried.
How did you walk away? Like, how did that work, and what was going on around while you did it? Because you're working in this high profile environment, and then you said, actually, I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, what happened was I got married. I told them I was pregnant, and they looked really unhappy. And I knew when I'd said that I probably wasn't going to be there by the time I had the baby. Like, they started making rumblings. It was all very interesting. NDAs were signed. So yeah, it was fun times. But yeah, it was, like I said, that experience, what I will tell you that did for me, put a fire in my belly that I will never in my life, if, like, you know, they often laugh about women and, oh, you know, women of childbearing age being such a problem in the workforce and this and that. I tell you what, if I hire a woman of childbearing age, she will feel so nourished, so nurtured, so appreciated, she will feel like the superhero she is, because she is growing a human. And so the challenges that I experienced out of that specific situation, and like I said, I bear no malice. I've seen the bosses that were directly involved after the fact, and we hugged and we smiled and we, I'm not that person. Like my life is far too special to be holding on to grudges for you. But also because what you thought you were doing isn't what you were doing, isn't what God was doing with it. So yeah, whatever you thought you were doing, it's been used for such good for me. And like I said, the beautiful thing about it is that I know what it's like to be a woman, for example, to be pregnant and to be having these conversations and to be, worrying about your value and worrying about your career and worrying about all of those things. So I know that when I step out, not only in some of the advisory work that I've done and some of the other roles, hats that I wear, I know that I've got a difference to make, because I know that feeling literally in the bottom of my stomach. So yeah, I'm so grateful for that time, and I'm grateful, like I said, even for the tears, because it put such a fire in my belly, a twinkle in my eye, that for the changes that need to happen in those spaces. But women, there's a lady that I'm connected with online. She works, I'll find her name later, but she talks about being pregnant and screwed because of the way that women are being treated in the workplace around kind of that particular issue. But I mean, yeah, between motherhood, maternity, menopause, like women are constantly being got at. And so for me, the chance to make a difference even in that space by enabling them to run their own businesses, by enabling them to demand what they're worth in the marketplace. All of that fire and that, came from my own experiences. So I'm grateful for it all.
Such a mature and adult way of looking at it. I'm still growing, so I'm still working on not holding resentment against people. It's you don't have time. Lesson.
No, you know what, my love, you don't have the time. Your destiny is so impactful. There's so much work for you to do, and if you can imagine, you like in a like metaphysical sense, you've only got two hands. Holding a grudge is taking up space from all the other amazing things that you've got going on, and need to be put in your hands instead. If you saw what that was, and if you knew what that was about, you ditch them. They'll be so far behind you. They can't. Those. And that's the thing, because we hold on to what feels safe, and we hold on to what feels known. And what's safest for me is my knowledge of my purpose, which is for women to just be awesome in this world, and my mission, which is to see women build $1 million, pound, any currency you want that isn't quite as devalued as some of us on the continent, but £1 million businesses over and over again, because the vision of the world that we bring to the table as women, if we had economic empowerment is activism. That's my form of activism. It's the one I feel most passionately about. If I had 10,000 friends or 10,000 women in a community who all have £1 million businesses, and we then needed to, we're waiting for politicians to feed our children. No, we'd be like, ladies, let's all put in 2,000, 1,000, 5,000, and kids to be fed. The men would be still debating it in Parliament, and those kids would be fed. And so for me, it's the activism that I want to see. My mission is to make sure that we've got these amazing businesses that are solving things the way that women solve them, but also that their founders are in a position where they are thriving, that they are healthy, that they are well, mind, body, soul, that they are connected, and we're lifting as we climb. We're not doing that crabs in a barrel madness and acting as if there's like a tiny table. Oh no, we're not. If there's not enough space at the table, you can start building bigger tables, or we can just dash a table and do a new structure altogether. Let's all sit on the floor and let's all eat. Let's get out. Let's roll our sleeves up and let's all join in. But we lift as we climb. That's.
You are speaking to my soul right now. Economic empowerment for me, that's my form of activism too, and I've been saying this for a while. And a great example of this, I'm part of the Dope Black Moms group and community.
Love
there was
it.
yeah, it's a fantastic place, but there's been a few incidents where some of the moms in the group have been struggling with specific things, and people have just whipped around. And these are not rich people. That like we're all from different backgrounds and diverse backgrounds, and people have put money in and brought this for people and donated to this cause. And I look at that and marvel and say, actually, same thing that you said. If we all were economically empowered, imagine the impact that we could make
Right.
across the board. So
And
yeah.
then imagine adding on top of that, because again, what often happens is, you know, in order to get that economic empowerment, like I said, there's so much sacrifice and or you're ill, or you know, there's a huge cost, mentally, psychologically, physically. So now imagine, and this is where like my idea of like the 7 sets comes in. You've got all your 7 sets in place: your mindset, your heart set, your soul set, your skill set. You've got the right information, you've got the right skills, you're taking action. So now imagine you've got these thriving businesses solving the problems the way that women do, and the founders are on point. But they're not struggling in the business. They've got time. They've got time, they've got networks, they've got resources, and they can put their minds to some of the biggest problems in the world. How lit would that world be? And that's the world I'm building. That anyone wants to come can join
I
me.
was gonna say I want to come and live in that world.
But that's the world I'm building, and it starts with the least glamorous things that give the most sexy results. It always, like, as I say to people all the time, consistency beats intensity, 100%. So one of the things that I support women with, and you know, the way that we work, is I have no objection. And you know, like I said, I keep talking about guys, and people are often like, "Oh, this woman is a man hater." I'm really not. I'm a mum of 3 sons. I love them boys die. I really do. Those boys are awesome. But their life is different to my life. Their life is so different to my life right now. And so what I'm trying to get across is the fact that actually it's so important that we do things as us, as women, and in the way that we do things best. And so from that perspective, you know, it's really important that we are able to be us, be true to us, do things how we do them. You know, we as women use, you know, X thousand more words than men. That's how we are. That's the way that we do things. And so it's not about adapting to so that we have to 10x and hustle and grind and do things till we no. We often don't get that time, we don't get that runway. But what we can do is the things that, you know, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 40 minutes here, 1 hour here, you know, between school runs and those kinds of things. I promise you that is enough time to take a business from 0 to 7 figures in time you would not believe, because consistency beats intensity. You're not what you do occasionally. You are what you do every day. You are what you do on an ongoing basis.
Agreed. That's why I'm currently doing my 3rd 30-day yoga challenge of the year.
Love it.
Because yeah, I totally believe in it. You don't have to be going to a full yoga camp for a week. I don't have that level of time, but I can do 20 minutes a day for 30 days in a row.
Everything can be broken down into things that take, you know, you know, obviously I've got this daily email where I'm supporting women around kind of motivation, inspiration, free resource. You know, it will never be paid. 5.5 years I've been doing it now, and 2,300 x blah blah blah, the 2,000 x number of days, and people are like, seriously? I'm like, yeah, every day, every single day, even the day my son was born, you know, I have written an email every day, but 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, because consistency beats intensity. I've got people talking to me now and they're like, oh, you know, we'd quite like, you know, to write a book or whatever. I'm like, I can write a book. That's not even a thing. Apart from the fact that I have the most amazing friend who helps people write books. But more importantly, is because I know that I can break that down into like really simple things. Like, and so understanding how to use the things that are true for us to our advantage is so important. At any time that you look at someone, or you know, you look at your life and you look at, you know, the life of a guy or someone else and you're like, oh, they've got it easier. No, they don't have it easier. They've got it different. What you've got is the way you've got it in order to work out how to make it work best for you. That's your challenge. And once you realize it's not a disadvantage, then the world's your oyster.
I feel like I've been in a church sermon. This is amazing. Like, you just raised me up. I'm like, right, what do I need to go do after this?
That's so funny.
So networking. This is going to be my final question because otherwise we're gonna do a 2-hour interview and we can't do that right now. Networking. You are great, and I know this because I've seen it at networking. How have you been able to be the networker that you are and to build kind of?
See, it's so funny you say that because I'm introverted, I hate in-person networking. Like, I like people, but from a distance. I find humans tricky in real life. That's my euphemistic way of saying, people get on my nerves sometimes. But but what I will say is this: everything is about people. It really is. And I think there's so much to be said for the way that we treat people and the way that we are around people, and most importantly, the value that we bring to people. And I think that I heard it said, I think it's T. Harv Eker, who said that, if you want to make $1 million, or if you want to make £1 million, you need to solve 1 million problems. Or you can find 1 million people and solve a £1 problem, or you can find, one person and solve £1 million problem. But all in all, everything is about people. And so even though I am introverted, and I know that people always look at me and go, she says she's introverted, but they've got the biggest mouth in the world, and she's chatty, and she's an international public speaker, and she's a coach in this, and she's not introverted. And all I will say to that is, introversion isn't about shyness or your skills. Public speaking is a skill, coaching is a skill. Every one of them can be learned, and they're not the preserve of people who are naturally extroverted. I will have to go and have a lie down later on. I will have to lie in the dark room and not talk to my kids for a bit. But what I would also say is that more importantly, because I know the importance that people have in my role and in my and because I am mission focused, I am passion fueled, and I am mission focused. And so I knew that I needed to learn how to deal with and manage people, and so I was like, okay, there's nothing that is beyond me. There's no point being smart and being broke. There's no point being too cool for school. There's no point being stuck up about it. When ultimately every single transaction in a business ultimately is dependent upon people. So I learned. That's how I learned. I went, I watched, I asked questions, I made sure that I was really focused on giving rather than getting, that I wasn't sitting there going, I wasn't thinking, I'm going into this situation, what am I going to get out of it? I would go and I would be like, what can I give? How can I be of benefit and value? How can I really impact and leave an improvement? How can I be the person who changes a trajectory for this person? And so when I went into these situations, I wasn't going in there with an idea of, if I can get this person's number. And one of the things I hate most about in-person networking is that person who blocks everyone else trying to get into the small circle around whoever they perceive to be of high value. I hate that person so much. But the thing I would also do is but everything is energy. And so I would always, I'd start a conversation with anyone in order to get to know about them and to genuinely help. And so often, whoever the kind of speaker was, they'd come into our conversation because they would see that there was value and there was energy being given, and this person would be like, yes, like I can do it. They'd skip off and they'd be like, go and talk to that woman. She's got something to offer. And so I think being a person to give something and with minded to give, minded to serve, minded to add value, really puts you at an advantage when you're thinking about networking and kind of getting involved with people. And that's at the heart of kind of all the things that are coming, next to my business. It's the reason why I'm looking at kind of programs and being able to not have to be in one place at one time and all of those kinds of things. But the beautiful thing is that there's so much opportunity now because we're all locked down and no one can go anywhere. It means that we have online networking in various different forms, and some are better than others, don't get me wrong, but I just think there's such power in being able to connect with people and want to give. You know, that we live in a world full of people that want to take. And so if you're that person in the room that wants to give, knowing that, you know, I go there to give because I know that I've been given to, and I, you know, I have my sources and places where I obtain from, but I then therefore know that I've been given so much, and to quote whoever, whether you're talking Bible or Spider-Man, to whom you know, to whom much is given, much is required, and with great power comes great responsibility. So I think networking, if you have something of value to offer, I think networking it's not a nice to do, it's a must do. You there's no point being talented and hiding your talent under a bushel. All you do is burn the bushel.
Yeah.
To go out there and, you know, to offer the value that you have to give. I think that that's such an important point.
Thank you so much. 3 pieces of advice that you would give to a woman sitting at home watching, listening to your words. What advice would you give her who wants to set up her own business or is in the early stages of already running their business?
The first would be to say that you are allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. It's the piece of advice that I wish that I had gotten really early, because I'm a perfectionist. I was very focused on, I'm a work in progress. This is not perfect. I'm going to do better. I'm going to get awesome. And I kept seeing the idea of masterpiece and in the future, instead of recognizing that it was there already. For you to even be in the position that you're in, what you have to offer is gold. Like, all women, Black women, for you to be doing what you're doing, it will be gold. I'm almost certainly able to kind of bet on that, and therefore recognize that yes, it's not perfect, and you need to come correct, and you need to come with the goods, but actually it doesn't need to be perfect, because because what you have to offer will insofar as it adds value and it helps people and it serves people, there is so much in there for you. So you're allowed to be both a work in progress and a masterpiece at the same time, is the first piece of advice. The second piece of advice is understand the business you are in, and it is never the business that you think. The business of business is sales, marketing, and people. Always. You can't sell, and you don't have anyone in your organization that can sell, you do not have a business. If you are not investing in marketing, your business is going to falter. And if you can't get to grips with the people, and that's whether that's customers, employees, everything about business, everything about our interaction as humans is about people. And so if you can't get to grips with sales, marketing, and people, you are going to have a problem. So on the flip side, because I'm definitely someone who likes to frame things in the positive, the sky the limit for your business because you are investing in sales, marketing, and people. You will never go wrong investing in those places. And the third and final piece of advice I would say is that success is a habit. Making money is a habit. Building a successful business is a habit. And our entire lives is a collection and the expression of the habits that we had before today. And so if what you are looking at now is the results of your habits. If you do not like the results you are seeing, then change your habits. It does not matter if you go and run a marathon, if you, after you sit down and finish that marathon, you never run again. You are not what you do occasionally. You are always what you do habitually, and consistency will always beat intensity. So whatever it is that you are doing, make sure you can break it down into consistent, focused, impactful action, and there will literally be no stopping you. That is literally the definition of unstoppable. So break it down. Do it in, make those sales calls, get on the internet, do whatever it is that you need to do to push your business forward in those 3 areas I mentioned. Make sure you can turn it into a habit, and there will be no stopping you.
Fabulous advice. Thank you for sharing. She's the Boss recommends a book, podcast, film, one of those three that had an impact on your entrepreneurial journey that you'd like to share with our audience? Ideally a book, but if you can't think of a book, the other two.
Oh, so many books. I read like a lot. Not like people who are like, oh, I read a book a week. I don't read a book a week. I implement a book a week. I don't read a book a week. There's no point reading and not implementing. So amazing books that I've read. Lisa Nichols' Abundance Now. Love that book. I love John Assaraf, Having It All. I love 12-Week Year, Brian P. Moran, Game Changer. I love Your New Money Story, David M. Buck. Wow, that book is a game changer. That book is like, I can't tell you how incredibly impactful it is to really unpack your money story. And you know, it deals with so many other things, how you feel about sales, how you feel about money, how you feel about building a business. Incredible. Podcasts, I love Unlocking Us by Brené Brown. I love The Secret Lives of Black Women. I love the Dope Black Mums. I love, you know, what they have to bring to the table. I think is awesome. I'd love to add mine to the list, which means that I now actually have to do it. So I'm speaking that one in faith. My book is coming out. I'm speaking that one in faith. I love, you said book, podcast, film. Hidden Figures, I love those women were just so roll up your sleeves and not complain and just get it done. There's just something so magical about how important it is to take action. Action is, you know, impactful action, or like I like to call it impaction, is the difference that makes a difference. You know, everyone's obsessed with Nike. Just do it. Don't just do anything. Do you think we have that kind of time? Don't just do anything. Think and then do, because ultimately that's what makes a difference. So yeah, they were my recommends.
Thank you. If people want to find out more about you, where can they find you? What platforms are you on? What's your website?
Okay, so I'm on LinkedIn daily, so you can come and find me there. I'm on Facebook, but less daily. Twitter, Insta, all my handles are the same. So apart from, I think I've got a few M's in there for my secret government middle name. But yeah, so Yinka Ewuola on most of those. My website is coming 2021. That'll be callasuccess.com. If anyone wants to join my daily email list, they can hit me up at hello@callasuccess.com. And yeah, come find me. I am very focused in the LinkedIn space, and I'm definitely, you know, I'm giving value on my email list, on socials each day. I'm finally getting over my fear of video, so I've got quite a few different things coming out in the weeks ahead, so I'd love to see you guys, so come down.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this conversation. As usual, I've gone over my self-imposed time because I just do that. But thank you for being such a great guest. And thank you guys for listening, for watching. As usual, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If there's anything that Yinka said that has resonated, please click that like button. Please share with your networks and write a comment so that we know the impact that this conversation has had, because Yinka shared so many nuggets. Like, just say thank you. And I will catch you again next week, Sunday, 8 p.m. with another She's the Boss Female Entrepreneur Stories. And if you are sitting at home and or in your office or wherever you are and you're running a business and you're struggling and you need support, drop me an email, Daniela@she'sthebossintl.com. Take care. Thank you, Yinka.